With a machine-like efficiency, Attack on Titan wastes no time in acclimatizing its audience to the many different ways in which it deeply laments oppression and war, and swiftly moves on to broaden its scope and hone in on the tragic nature of child soldiers, perspectivism, relativism, how this strife is a self-perpetuating thing viewed as necessary by all sides, how history, folklore, and culture have been artificially postured in a way that maintains this, and much more. This story keenly examines the many different moving pieces and thematic elements of this awful conflict to such a great degree that, in immersing myself in all of this whilst reading, I overcompensated and found that I had a bit of a blind spot with regards to where all of this was going. Yes, the story makes absolutely sure to explore every facet and show how terrible all of this is through the many different perspectives of the cast. However, it isn't nearly as blunt with the underlying end point with regards to war. To put this simply, I found myself wondering, what is the solution to all of this? Is there even a solution? Obviously, at the time of this video, the anime is still airing and won't be completed for a little while, but I think that we can glean quite a bit with regards to what the prevailing overall message here is through what we've been shown already. And the crux of this is rooted in a small and short, yet idyllic and achingly beautiful scene we're shown midway through involving two characters who would perish before learning if the ideas shared here would ever truly come to fruition. And yet, it's the sentiment of these words that matter much more than whether or not they would bear fruit.
お前は暴力を信じているな。それは避けがたいこの世の真実だろう。だが、滅ぼし合うほかなかった我々を友人にしたものは一体何だ？暴力か。
知らねえよ。ただお前にバカでかい腕でつまみ上げられなければ、俺はお前の頭にクソを詰め込んでただろうな。それこそ友人手荒になる前によ。
Kenny and Uri could not have been more different people. Opposite sides of the spectrum in terms of ideology, personality, upbringing, motives, and much more, and seemingly positioned by fate to come to arms. It seemed to Kenny in particular like this was an interpersonal dynamic that would only ever lead to bloodshed. However, with Uri's show of humility and empathy being the catalyst, the two became the unlikeliest of friends. And in reflecting on how things came to be this way, Uri thinks of the oncoming onslaught, of all the pain and bloodshed that will soon reign upon this land, of all the death and sorrow and misery. And, as idealistic as a certain golden-haired boy we've come to know and love, chooses to focus on something that has the capability of transcending all of that. And he asks, what was it that broke through what seemed like a need for conflict between the two men? What was it that brought them together, that brought forth peace instead of death? It was not hate nor violence. It was connection, understanding, empathy, and love. Violence is the unavoidable truth of this world, and as Erwin said, war will likely persist as long as humanity exists. But in the depths of an ingrained conflict, what was it that made Uri and Kenny unlikely friends? What was it that stopped this cycle dead in its tracks on a micro scale? It was that deep, human connection. And just as it was in that situation, if our characters are to find a method of stopping this horrific, cataclysmic struggle, a method of putting an end to this hell and finding the beauty through the cruelty, it will likely be through extremely similar means as well. And as shown through the stunning new ending for Part 2 of the final season, we see the scarf, the symbol of Eren's affection and relationship with Mikasa, transforming into a bird with wings outstretched, taking flight into a boundless sky. That bird being the symbol of the freedom Eren has been seeking his whole life and been unable to attain. The progression of this visual imagery very directly proposes the idea that perhaps the confines placed upon these characters can be transcended, not through the violence that has brought about no result at all through countless generations, but through love and connections.
ああ、避けがたい真実だ。それでも私はあの時の奇跡を信じている。
As Kenny muses later on, what on earth made his partner see things so idealistically? How did he find it within himself to not see this coming horizon as yet another false one, like the lie that devastated Eren? To put it simply, Uri had been given enough hope to believe in a resolution in the future akin to what brought them together. Now, maybe the only shot at stopping this cyclical farce and finding true paradise is a miracle. But miracles do happen, as rare as they are, and so believing in them is a worthwhile thing to do. And in the midst of this bloody mire that spans so far back in history, how is the ability to choose mutual understanding and connection over hate anything but a miracle? It's so difficult to hold onto hope in a world this dark, to believe in the power of the good in humanity when all evidence tempts you to just give up and stop trying. But there is indescribable value in the sentiment of aiming for that miracle, and as long as it persists, the dream of prosperity and peace is not dead. As long as it persists, people will not stop looking for that solution. Is it foolish to hope for this? Perhaps it is. Perhaps in the end, there will be no solution. But for as long as that sliver of hope exists, as long as people like Kenny and Uri are able to find unlikely solace in one another, these little miracles will continue to show us that as much as humans are capable of deep, heinous darkness, they are also capable of light and compassion and good. And that may be the key to true paradise, true peace, and freedom. For as long as this remains the case, this improbable dream is absolutely worth pursuing against all odds. Violence is indeed one of Attack on Titan's unavoidable truths, but another one, perhaps the most important one, is that human beings are able to transcend past that violence through love. And that is the cause worth fighting for. Many thanks for watching.